Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session with a failed attempt at a comeback after extremely bearish action in Tuesday's session. And Ken, we're going to take a look at three stocks on the move after their earnings reports today, but how they closed says a lot about the state of the market.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really nice numbers from Microsoft. Good earnings report there. Stock can't hold gains. Same thing with Visa. So both stocks in the Dow Jones that were up sharply got pulled down late with the market decline. And the final stock is ADP, which we've mentioned in the past. HR outsourcer, still forming a cup with handle base here.
All right, well, we will analyze those stocks for you all, but first, let's take a look at the major indexes. So today, the NASDAQ finishing roughly flat on the day, down about 2 points here. The Dow and S&P 500 up by about 0.2% apiece, and the Russell 2000 down by about 0.5%. I'm on a 5-minute chart here, but a daily gives you a better look, Ken, of where we are with that close below the March lows on Tuesday and a flat close today. So we are still in correction mode here.
Yes, we are. And, we talk about this, weak opens and strong closes and strong opens and weak closes. And when you're in a market correction, it's typical to see strength in the morning followed up by selling in the afternoon, and that's once again what we saw today. That's been a bit of a pattern for the market, but not really all that surprising, because we know the market is in a correction. We know the indexes are sort of groping for lows here, but I guess technically today for the NASDAQ, if it indeed did close higher, or it actually closed down fractionally, but for the S&P 500, even though it's up 0.2%, it would qualify as the first day of a rally attempt for the market. So we don't, it doesn't matter where an index closes or it just, this is the first day of a rally attempt for the S&P 500, but S&P NASDAQ closed fractionally lower, so still looking for day one of a rally attempt there.
Right. And even with the day one of the rally attempt for the S&P 500, it at the very least will take a couple more sessions to confirm a new uptrend. And Ken, the last time that happened on March 16th, we got the confirmed uptrend signal with a follow-through day for the S&P 500. That rally was short-lived. So even if we do see a little bit of strength here, it seems like investors should still be cautious.
Yeah, when we saw confirmation of a new uptrend for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ last month, and you see the S&P 500 was able to power through that 200-day moving average, and it was looking pretty good for a little while there. But then selling pressure started to build. I mean, this is the big challenge when you're looking for this stock market to confirm a new uptrend or give a signal that it's bottomed. I mean, we could get that signal, but it's probably going to happen with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ still, well below these key moving averages that often serve as resistance when you're in a downtrend like they currently are.
And also a quick look at the Dow before we move on to those stocks here. So up by about 0.2% as well, holding above its March lows, but not in a position of strength by any means here, Ken.
No, and you can see the Dow had problems at its 200-day line. Just there and then there as well. So this is a market that is still in intensive care. There's no doubt about it. It's still in a correction, and you're seeing good earnings reports being sold. You're seeing bad earnings reports being sold. It's just very difficult to find actionable stocks out there right now.
That's right. Okay. Well, speaking of, let's take a look at Microsoft, because this technology bellwether here, really, for the software sector, had a great report, but even with a gain of almost 5% today, off highs, some resistance at the 50-day, and this is a chart that even though it's holding up better than the speculative growth area, and a lot of other software stocks has had a lot of damage over the last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, a strong earnings report and great growth in their cloud business, and they forecast revenue growth for the current quarter, again, double-digit percentage growth. So, but this is a stock that still just can't get out of its own way. It's still on a downtrend here. Was not able to move above the 50-day moving average. So, good numbers from Microsoft, but still in a downtrend, unable to break it.
All right, and next on our list, let's take a look at, I don't know what I just clicked on my chart there, but let's take a look at it. Visa, ticker V, also moving on its earnings report, but resistance here as well. The stock up 6% by the end of the day, but well off highs. Had some volume behind it, but again, resistance at key levels, even though the report showed acceleration on both the top and bottom lines. Wasn't able to break a downtrend.
Yeah, great numbers from Visa. They talked about, they're saying that consumer spending, at least from their perspective, they're really not seeing any slowdown in consumer spending, even amid pretty high inflation. So I thought that was a key part of the earnings report. And again, the bottom line and top line growth was there. Visa came right up to its 200-day moving average, and then boom, sellers just came in and knocked it lower. So once again, this is a situation that actually quite a few stocks in the market find themselves in right now. Earnings, they report good earnings, but they've got so much overhead supply, and they're below these key moving averages, far off highs. That's why it's risky buying a stock when it's so far off its high. Sellers can come into these stocks at the drop of a hat. That's what happened with Visa today, still in a downtrend, just like Microsoft.
Yeah, that's very true. And even when a stock is seemingly in a position of technical strength and has a strong initial reaction to earnings, if the market isn't in good shape, it's not immune to getting dragged down. That's what we saw with Google last quarter. It had that attempted breakout, or at least break of a downtrend, was looking so strong in the morning, but that faded and filled the gap a couple of days later because of the overall market backdrop. So even though it might seem enticing to buy a stock, when you see a percentage gain as strong as this with volume behind it and a seemingly good report, the chart has to live up to that. And not only that, the market, you have to have that wind at your back as well and not try to swim against the tide.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, there are some every once in a while you see a decent technical setup, and General Dynamics was another one today that looked like it was moving pretty well on earnings, and looked like it was getting into position for a possible breakout try. But again, this stock gets knocked lower. Numbers here are not as good as Visa and Microsoft, but there was still an initial positive reaction to earnings that
Right.
that eventually faded.
Yeah, and to your credit, Ken, you were saying not only about General Dynamics, but other stocks too that perhaps looked potentially actionable. Hey, we need to see how these look later on in the session. Can they hold their gains? How are they looking? And then even still, we're in a correction. It's good to be raising cash if you're not already largely in cash. So one to keep an eye on, but not to act on at this time.
Yeah, exactly. And we've just seen this pattern of strong opens and weak closes for the major stock indexes, and that is going to change at some point, but it is not happening yet, and that's weighing on most stocks in this market.
All right, and last but not least, let's check back in on ADP, a name we recently covered, also getting a little bit of a boost on its earnings report, up 2.6%. Looks like it came close to breaking a downtrend within this handle, but some resistance there. The setup is still intact, but some resistance at a trend line.
Yeah, and that relative strength line looks very very healthy. And this was another stock that just wasn't able to hold gains today. But I was interested to hear what ADP said in light of a strong earnings report recently from Paychex, which had
Mhm.
a good response to earnings. But yeah, ADP is still in play here. It's one of the better looking technical setups in this market. But we need this market tide to start flowing positive again. And it's it could be a while before that happens. But in the
Mhm.
meantime, we just want to, keep looking for stocks that are outperforming good relative strength lines like ADP, and just above all else, be patient, because a weak broad market is going to make it difficult to make money in just about any type of stock.
Exactly. And I really love your point about the relative strength line, because not only has it been trending higher the last couple of months, but it's in new high ground. I'm sure if we go to the weekly, that we've probably got a blue dot here. Yep, there we go. And so not only is it at a new high before a new price high, but even within this handle, it's hitting a new high. So checks off definitely a couple of boxes there on the relative strength front. So, Ken, thanks for putting the stock on our radar.
You betcha.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure you join us tomorrow morning on IBD Live, because there is more to discuss. We're looking forward to having you joining us. Today we talked about a lot of different educational topics, because there aren't a lot of stocks to buy at this time, or at least that we should be buying, since we want to be remaining largely in cash, preserving that physical and mental capital, Ken. But we talked about retirement account strategies. You previewed what you do with your 401k and IRA. We talked a little bit about selling into strength, holding stocks for big moves, big runs, and even a little bit of shorting. So you never know what we're going to cover tomorrow morning on IBD Live, but we always like to make it well worth everyone's time, even if there aren't a whole lot of stocks to be buying.
Well, yeah, there's always great education to talk about, like you mentioned, like we did earlier today, and there'll be more of that tomorrow. And
There will.
again, hopefully we'll get a nice open for the market, and who knows, maybe we'll get a nice day of gains and close near highs.
All right. Always an optimist with that cup with handle half full. Love it, Ken. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow.